Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of Grace and Gossip. I am your host, Christal Jordan, and it is Monday in the month of May. I hope everyone is doing well out there. I'm trying to get our Facebook audience locked in. It looks like we're having some trouble getting them locked and loaded. Where is Facebook? Where is Facebook? Where is Facebook? We want to get them in so we can get started on the on today's topic. But first of all, if you guys are just tuning in, let me know that you're here. Let me know that you are ready to get into today's topic. We have quite a bit to cover today because it was the first official day of the Diddy trial. We know that last week things started with the jury selection. But today they actually had opening statements, and there's a whole lot that happened there. So we're going to get into that in just a bit. I actually have my favorite Grace and Gossip correspondent is going to be joining me in just a bit. But I wanted to make sure that we got started. I hope everybody had an amazing weekend. My weekend was eventful, but we're off to a brand new week. And I am excited to be here, excited to have you all here. Like I said, we have quite a few topics to get into. And, we do reality TV gossip, but then we also do pop culture gossip as well. But of course, we keep the grace and sophistication because we want to make sure this is not trash talk. So if you are here waiting for the trash and waiting for people to be dogged out, you are probably watching the wrong channel because we do like to get into the details, but we like to keep things on the up and up, keep things with a little class, a little grace here. Hey, Edna, welcome. I did enjoy my Mother's Day. You know what? I was like, I know something I wanted to talk to you guys about. I went to a Mother's Day brunch. A friend of mine was throwing, actually, they're more like family. They were throwing a Mother's Day brunch. And so my mother and my daughter and I went out to attend this. This was on Saturday. So we kind of celebrated Mother's Day on Saturday. My son is not here. He's in Michigan and he could not fly in. So it was just three of us. But that was kind of cool because it was three generations. It's interesting being with your mom and your daughter, right? Because their relationship is so different than my relationship with either one of them. Everybody has their own special relationship, but it's a beautiful thing. And I'm thankful that I have both of them. So I hope you all had an amazing Mother's Day. I will say I am lucky because my kids do a great job of making me feel appreciated all the time, and not just on Mother's Day. But of course, that's the day that we like to celebrate mothers and of course, upcoming fathers on Father's Day. I know that pretty soon we've been, Scorpio Mo and I have been talking about doing a show on Father's Day that will kind of talk about the disconnect often that happens when people are co-parenting. And I don't think I can say enough about that because there seem to be so many fathers that get cheated out of spending time with their children. So many times couples, when they're trying to transition to co-parent, when you're breaking up is a very emotional thing. And so I do want to remember, although we celebrate Mother's Day, we definitely want to appreciate and recognize those fathers that are doing a great job as well. And I've always thought that even if you're not with the other parent, and I know this takes a moment to get to, it takes some strength and it takes some maturity and it takes some healing, right? But I think once you are at that place where you've done some healing, after you guys have split ways, I do think that if you have a child by a woman and you guys are not together, I think you should celebrate her on Mother's Day. I think even if you just say Happy Mother's Day, if you just, reach out and say that to her, if you just send her something, I think that, and I think vice versa, because I think raising children was not meant to be done alone. We were not supposed to be doing them singularly or really through blended families. We have to do that now, but really you were supposed to be in the home with your children as opposed to being in a home with someone else's children. So if you are in a home and your children have access to another parent, that's a blessing, specifically if they're a good influence. But I do think that if you have a child and you're co-parenting with the mom, you're the father, I think on Mother's Day you should recognize your child's mother. You guys let me know what you think in the chat. I think that's a really positive thing to do. I think the best gift that we can give our children is to see us treating each other with respect and appreciation. And I know for myself, and I always rely on my amazing chat to chime in, but I know growing up, when your parents are at odds, it makes you feel strange, right? Because you are the product of their connection. And so if they don't like each other, then that makes you feel like you're kind of stuck in the middle. And so if fathers, hey D Glove, if fathers could, I hope that there are some fathers out there that did celebrate their children's mother on Mother's Day. And I hope that there are some mothers out there that on Father's Day will celebrate their children's fathers, because that has nothing to do with you romantically. It has everything to do with you saying, just giving a little appreciation for them doing a good job raising your children, because children are not easy to raise. They are never, that I think is the hardest job that any of us will ever have. It is the most rewarding job, but it is definitely I'm reading Edna's quote, is definitely the hardest job and the most intense, right? Because it's never over. Edna says, let's put Edna's quote here. Edna says, that's not the plan of Abba Father. Remember Abraham, the Lord God Almighty told him to bless Ishmael, even though he wasn't the covenant child, he was born out of disobedience to his word. Absolutely. And you know what? That actually is a great topic, Edna. And I think maybe one day down the line, I would have like a pastor or someone come in and talk about that situation, because I have met more children born out of wedlock, more children, not just out of wedlock, but I'm talking about children born as a side baby, right? Children that were born when their parents were cheating on their married spouses and had an affair, and they had this baby. And that can definitely leave a lot of pain. We talked about that a little bit with the show that was on OWN, Family Empire, Houston Family Empire, something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but we talked a little bit about that, because there was one child that was conceived outside of the father's, I think he was engaged at the time, and that can be very hurtful. And unfortunately, a lot of times the children have to carry those burdens and that shame from the intimacy that their parents were indulging in outside of their marriage. But anyway, that's for another day. Last thing I'm saying about that, I hope everyone enjoyed their Mother's Day. I felt so blessed to be able to share mine with my mother and my daughter here. Usually my mother has been in Colorado, and so I would send her, a Mother's Day care package or something, but it's nothing like actually having her close. And so I'm very thankful for that. We posted a picture of us. Thank you, Edna, for saying that. Definitely 3 generations of, I don't know what we are, because my last name was Jordan. My mom's last name was Jordan. My name officially now is Jennings, and my daughter has her father's last name. So we're not necessarily Jordan women, but 3 generations, right? 3 generations of us. I don't know what we are, but us in that picture. So it was a good time. And then yesterday I just relaxed a lot and got ready for the week. There's a lot going on. As I said earlier, we are going to be talking about in just a bit the Diddy trial. Thank you so much, Love Is Beanie, for saying that. We're going to be talking about that in just a bit. I have a correspondent that is going to be joining us with, and we're going to kind of talk about what happened today. It was an explosive day in court. But before we get to that, I wanted to cover a few of the articles that I did for Collider. The first one I'm going to talk about right here is Evelyn Lozada is right for once on Basketball Wives. I actually have an interview with Evelyn scheduled for tomorrow. So I'll be sharing that with you guys soon. But I don't know how many of you watch that show, but most of you probably have heard that Jennifer Williams got married last year to a much younger man. I think there's like a 20 plus year age difference, like serious age difference. He's barely 30. She's in her mid 40s. I think he turned 30 last year. And he, by occupation, was an alleged investor. Turns out he has some people that invested that came under his investment company and felt like they were scammed. I mean, there's a lot of people. And actually, our good friend Simone from Ready to Love Houston, she has a podcast called Girl, Is That Legal? And she, immediately started talking to some of these victims and, kind of shined a light on exactly what was happening. Allegedly, Christian was having people sign up for him to invest their money for him. And, he was taking anywhere from $2,500, $1,500 to $5,000. And some people gave even more. And those people didn't get their money back. They did not receive a return on their investment. And so he actually had to spend some time in jail. He also had like a domestic violence charge from years prior. So he had a lot going on. He had a restitution to pay before they were actually able to leave to get married. They got married in France. And when they came back, these charges were waiting on him. I think he still has to go to court on them. But in the meantime, he's on Basketball Wives with Jennifer. And the season started back up. I am a little torn, but I'll put this up here again. I said Evelyn Lozada is right for once on Basketball Wives. Evelyn has a reputation of being like a mean girl, right? And I think she kind of earned that, over the seasons on Basketball Wives. She went away for a while. She did a Yanla. She married a very, 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 very wealthy baseball player, had a child with him, and now they're no longer together. An investment broker is a licensed profession, but I'm not sure if he was licensed or not, or if it was a legitimate license, but that is a licensed profession, but a day trader is not. So it sounds like he was doing more of what a day trader would do, taking people's money. And according to Evelyn, and it's crazy because these shows, things just happen almost too perfectly, right? So Evelyn tried to warn Jen last season. Jen did not listen. And so this season they come back, Jen is married. Evelyn confronts her, but Evelyn's cousin, well, actually her ex's, Carl, the baseball player that she has the son with, has a cousin who was scammed by Christian. How convenient is that? And so Evelyn brings that evidence with her that this woman was scammed out of $1,500, which is $1,500, right? So if someone lies to you and takes $1,500, that is definitely a loss. Nobody wants to just lose $15, right? $1,500. But I'm not sure if that is I'm not sure, how that happens to be so convenient that it would be someone related to Carl, which was able to connect with, yes, Carl Crawford, that was able to connect with Evelyn. So Evelyn brings this all out at the table, and Jennifer doesn't want to hear any of it, and she's totally, she has no empathy for these people. She says anytime you invest, you're taking a chance, which is true. And so she says that no, not Carl Crawford. Not Carl Crawford. I gotta find his last name. I know Carl Crawford, that's the music guy. She actually was with a baseball player. But yes, 1501 is the production company for Carl Crawford, who actually used to have did he have Megan Thee Stallion, I think? But Jennifer doesn't want to hear it. The first big blow up of the season. I think that, Jennifer was right this time. She's usually being a mean girl, but I don't think she's being a mean girl this time. But we'll see. But before we do that, I want to bring in my guest. Well, that is him then. If he was a baseball player first, and yes, that is the same Carl Crawford. Wow. My guest co-host and correspondent today is Ryan J. Dennis. He is a journalist and producer with bylines on 11 Alive, The Ace, The A-Scene, BET, and Madame Noir. He got his start in broadcast news as a production assistant and assignment editor with Fox 29 in Philadelphia, where he interned. I met him when he was here working for WXIA, and he's also been one of the producers at Revolt. He's just done so much, and I'm so honored to have him hanging out with me again. Ryan!
Hey! That was quite the introduction.
That's quite, you are quite a gentleman, you know.
Thank you, friend.
Yes.
Yeah, I was when you were talking about Carl, I was like, that's him. That's how he got his start.
It's him. Yeah, I did not realize that he played baseball and then opened up a label. And it's crazy because if I knew that was him, I would have thought Evelyn was way more trifling than I did. I was giving Evelyn way too much credit. Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Did you see? I don't know if you heard. We were talking about.
I'm behind on the basketball wives controversy, but what I do gather is that Evelyn, hang it up.
I know.
But Jennifer, go to something else.
But Jennifer, I do agree with that. But I'm a little concerned about Jennifer and this much younger investor named Christian Gold.
Scam.
Scam likely. Yeah, I'm a little concerned. So I think Evelyn's calling a spade, but I don't know if people want to hear from Evelyn because she has kind of been, the mean girl thing, the key word is girl.
Because really, we grown. You was grown back in 2010.
Yes. But at this point, we're a grandmother.
Your grandma.
Here's a grandmother.
The baby grandma.
Oh my gosh. Hey, you there said, didn't Carly Red date Carl? My God.
I mean, you got to think about it like this. He was a baller.
I know, but now I'm taking points away from, I'm extracting my points.
You gave him a little bit too much. I
did not know this was the same Carl. Whoa. Yikes.
Carl has,
he's been around.
He's an attractive guy too.
He is. No, he is.
I mean, when he first was in the league, the baseball uniform did something different.
I'm not going to deny any of that.
He courted. There were some allegations about him and Meg too, but
oh my God. Well, yeah. I remember that. I mentioned that. Yeah. But Jennifer, just really quickly, Jennifer was scammed by a guy that took her car.
This sounds like an Atlanta love story.
I know. She had a show. She had a show on VH1 about love scams, and a gentleman actually lied and stole her Range Rover. And then she gets with this guy, and he has Evelyn called it a Ponzi scheme. And meanwhile, Jennifer and this guy, this younger man, are, flaunting their elaborate lifestyle on Instagram, which doesn't seem smart while you have charges filed. But hey,
it comes from the territory. We know these romance scams come far too often. And, it comes from that social media lifestyle, the hashtag relationship goals. Yeah. We know how it goes. So if you got it, flaunt it. And if you don't got it, pretend like you got it.
Yeah, still flaunt it. And then, it all comes down. The cards all come down. I'm going to ask you one question and we're going to move on to, we got to go to Married to Medicine and then Housewives and then Diddy. That's going to be our order of
Monday. It's only Monday.
I know, but it was the first day. But okay, why do you think, Ryan? Because a lot of beautiful women here, it seems like a lot of these women that get scammed, you look at them, it's like, You should have known that that was a scam. Why did you let him steal your Range Rover?
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
I think that is two things. I mean, you could genuinely be bamboozled. People will, it's kind of like catfish. People lead on a facade of like, okay, I'm going to show you the world. I'm going to give you this version of myself. But then it's like, the other side is that it's like, actually, nope. I'm here to set you up and set you up for ruin.
Yeah.
And then I just feel like so many hopeful or hopeless romantics, they ignore the red flags. And there are so many signs. I mean, it happens in the LGBTQ community plus community as well. Like, I mean, so many people are falling down the wrong rabbit hole when it comes to romance, and it's impacting them at great lengths criminally.
Yeah.
I mean, people getting out of rent deals, and it's never what it seems to be. And I think that a lot of times people have this false hope that, okay, I hope you don't do me like the last one, or I hope you are who you say you are. And then, I mean, I also feel like we're living in an age where the loyalty and compassion of people in this world is just like, people, it's a cold world out here.
It's a cold world.
It's a cold world, and people will leave you. People will leave you salty.
Their intentions are bad from the beginning. But Edna said women are that lonely, but Ryan says it's happening in every community, not just heterosexual.
And you know, we also look at men are being scammed by women too. If you look at the lyrics in female rap today, it's tricking ass, skimming ass, all of that. That's being told through the messaging. It's like, okay, we hear the other side of it. It's like, okay, women are being scammed, but also men are being scammed too.
That's true. And I think men are probably less likely to admit it.
I think that's fair to say.
Men are less likely to come out and talk about, because they don't want to look like a victim or look weak. You know, I took a girl home, she got in my pockets, took my credit cards. They're not going to come out and say that.
But they don't want to get caught because they got 5 other different lives.
Right. 5 other different women. Yeah, that's true.
They got 5 other different lives. So,
yeah, that's true. So it's like, I can't kind of like game recognize game. She got me.
She got me. I'm gonna just take it. I'm gonna just, just keep it to myself.
Just keep it to myself. Hey, just. Like Kevin Hart said. All right, moving on to the next quick headline here. I did this story. Don't want to go there. Oh, I didn't bring it. So I don't want to go there. I wanted to talk about Married to Medicine very quickly. Sweet Tea announced that she is not returning to the show. Now, I feel my headline was that was not good for Married to Medicine. They actually needed Sweet Tea, and I'll tell you why. Phaedra called the show miserable in medicine.
Yeah.
And I think producers because we were like, why would Phaedra come on Married to Medicine without any relation to medicine or any relation to marriage? No relation to marriage or medicine. And I think producers brought her on because the show needed some oomph, right? If Phaedra has anything, it's oomph. So I also think that Sweet Tea being 32 years old, as opposed to the other women who are in their 40s, mid 40s to 50s, it added a little bit of diversity to the show. It made it a little bit, because these women are very stuck in their thing, right? Dr. Jackie, we know what she's going to do. She's very big on decorum and always doing the right thing, even when she doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Simone is kind of like, Simone really don't care. She just wants to get her coins and keep her family together. And she'll say a little bit every once in a while, but she's not going to make a huge impact. Dr. Heavenly is going to talk trash, and then she's going to backpedal, right? She's going to talk trash, and then she's going to backpedal. Talk it, back it up.
She's carrying that. She's carrying that load.
She does. She is. But she's also going to backpedal it out as soon as Dr. Jackie tells her to stop. So I think Sweet Tea came, and you got this young girl who is not polished and not primed and not primed, none of that.
Yeah.
And you know what I said in my piece, because it's interesting. These women are all driven by accomplishments in their career, right? Even Toya,
sure.
who doesn't really have a career, tries to prove to them. She tries to prove to the women that she has some business about her. Like, I'm starting to want. Like, she's trying to compete with him.
Yeah.
Sweet Tea is like, I don't want to do nothing but love on my man. Have baby.
Yeah. But I will say this about Sweet Tea. For one, it's really Dr. G that's in control. And I think that he probably didn't like how he was depicted in the last few episodes of the season. Not only do you have the scorn of seeing your ex-wife thrive with a young lad like King, but you also, it's kind of like, it worked to marry Sweet Tea in season 1. You got your lick and all of that, but then like she's not producing what she said that she was going to do for you, and she kind of put her foot in her mouth when she said that she was going to give this man a baby.
Well, she did that to real men.
She did that to real men. Yeah, and I think that if that were to, unfortunately, if that were to come into fruition, it would make them more interesting. Yeah. But I think that there's a loyalty that the fans have to Miss Quad.
Quad, yeah.
That, is unmatched. It was just like, by the end of the season, although it was good, I was invested in the plots and twists and the claws that came out. Right. I think that, many people were looking at how unpolished Sweet Tea was. She was a little bit more nuts if you buck. But I will say, she climbed through the cracks of the aunties.
She did.
All the aunties are telling her she did make her own. And I mean, when we talk about age gap relationships, she personified that, because that's what I see. A lot of women think that, oh yeah, I'm gonna just be cute and get me a doctor. I'm gonna just be cute and get me, or I'll do what another woman won't do.
Yep.
And I mean, it was good she was real for that.
Yeah. I agree.
But I think that definitely, the fans, and everything that happened with Dr. G and pressing the charges against, or allegedly pressing, it probably became too much. It made for really great TV this past season. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think that Sweet Tea should probably do some more growing off screen.
Well, she is. She has a group of women that are the real doctors' wives that she's hanging out with now on her social media. And I knew that she wasn't going to be back on the show because she was so big on pushing these.
Yes. Ryan. Yes. It's like, please.
Look at us. We're doctors' wives. Yeah.
We're really. It even really so far. She was like, I'm the one that's really married to medicine. I mean, it was like, I mean, people saw it, but it's just like, okay, but Quad is a staple on that show, and it's clear that she's not going nowhere.
Well, she redeemed herself because she was in hot trouble for a while. The ladies did send her home.
They did. It made. I mean, I'm curious to see how this relationship goes for her.
Yeah.
And how her, I mean, she says that she does, despite her being divorced to Dr. G, she got her start in medicine. And that gives her the right for this to be.
Medicine was that.
We'll see.
What medicine was
that? It was called Origins in Medicine.
Hey, hey.
But yeah, I would have liked personally, I have a friend of Sweet Tea, and I would have loved to see her come back. I feel like this this cast, I mean, I could do without. Who would I swap? I would swap, and she's a real doctor.
Simone.
What's the other one that went to the White House?
Jackie.
Yeah.
You would swap Dr. Jackie.
Yeah, I would swap Dr. Jackie.
See, I probably would swap.
Even though she's the, legit doctor.
She's the queen.
She's the queen. I feel like I could see a little. I mean, I for this season, she didn't really do too much for me.
She didn't.
Exactly. Is that accurate? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. She didn't do much, but tell Dr. Heavenly, please stop. I was like, oh my God. When Heavenly kept trying to fight Dr. Contessa, she was like, I fell. I was like, and she said, did you fall, Jackie? Yes. Yeah, I think they needed something. I will say this. I admire Sweet Tea was very unpolished, very unprimed, very unput together. But I do think that you have to give her credit for coming in there at 32 years old and holding her own and not shirking and being scared by those women that were set, because they can be very intimidating, because not only are they on television, but these are real career women and they are very intimidating. And so she came in there, she went at it with Dr. Jackie. I was like, girl, she came in there not afraid at all. Sweet Tea said, he's all the man I need. I don't have to worry about nothing.
Seriously, I mean, it made for great television, and I hope that they do some kind of friend of the show or something with them.
I can't see Dr. G. I do think you're right. It probably was because of him, but it's also his fault because he made that song.
And nobody asked him to make a song at all.
Nobody asked him to do that. Nobody, and he did it twice.
He declared that he wanted to be free.
He did it twice.
Set me free.
Set me.
And Dr. G, you are set free.
You were free already. Already, he said he wants to be free, and it was like do you think he's still in love with Quad?
Absolutely. That is one thing that I see at the heart of it, is that they obviously have a history together. Mm-hmm. And when that man said that he was willing to fight for the death, even though we knew that wasn't going to happen, but it's just like he got a taste of his own medicine, he got himself a young tender thing, and so did, I don't know how young King is, but he's giving chiseled abs on the beach.
He did. He's definitely giving younger men, and allegedly they are having a baby. So
wow.
Allegedly, I don't know if that's true, but that's what the people are saying.
Wow. I mean, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, let's move on along to Housewives.
Oh.
To the Housewives. So, last week I wrote this: Drew Sidora isn't fooling anyone by attempting to steal her divorce decree.
Okay, thank you. Because, girl, what? You are on a reality show going through Gwinnett County courthouses with your camera crew, and yet you want to talk about why your divorce should be sealed, and you want to protect your children, and you're doing confessionals.
And then she said it was because she was trying to protect Ralph.
And Ralph is like, open them records.
And then he sat down with Portia and Shamia and said that he filed because she had an affair with former basketball player Ty Young.
Now, I had my suspicions of that. And from that conversation, one thing remained constant is with Drew. Multiple people have called this girl a liar. That is
almost as many people call Drew a liar as Mia.
Yeah.
They're neck and neck. Now I ain't gonna lie, Mia is not a good liar. Drew is a better liar than Mia. Mia is outrageous.
Yeah.
Outrageous lies.
Portia's a liar too.
Lies they keep coming, but they're, we know it's a lie. We know it's a lie.
You know how I know when Drew is lying? When she brings out the crocodile tears. Because and when Ralph imitated her last night, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
He airing her out. At first, I didn't think their divorce was real. I thought it was just for TV.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Something about this feels. I mean,
I think it's dragging on. I think it's gonna stick.
It's gonna stick.
I think it's gonna stick. It's weird that they said that the judge said they can't tell the kids. I've never heard that before. Have you ever heard that before?
We might have to fact check that one because that's a first for me as well. And it just goes to say, like, okay, this is a unique situation.
Yeah, but what did you think about his conversation with Portia and Shamia? I just felt like he was way too eager to be down with the girl chat.
I mean, he's a member of the show. I actually was tickled by the conversation that he had with Portia and Shamia. And I mean, yes, it was some sassy behavior. It was some sassy behavior.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it because Ralph is Drew is his match for several reasons. He's the male Drew.
He is I agree. I think they need to stay together. They are the same.
Yeah.
I feel like he lies, she lies. When Portia asked him, well, did you ever cheat? He just lied in all of our faces, and we know that he did. It didn't even come out smooth. He just was like, no, Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph. Come on, Ralph.
Ralph.
Did you ever sniff a woman?
Oh my God. Portia is unhinged.
She just those Dish Nation skills for that one.
She did. Now let's talk about that. Drew, we know, is lying, and we know that. I believe she did cheat with that girl because I believe that Candy and Todd put her in that movie, and she played the part of a woman who is married to a man. She's an unsatisfied housewife, and she has an affair with a female. And I was like, is this real life? Is Drew? Is it happening in real time? Like, what is going on?
That's what it felt like. I feel like there were those. We saw them around town.
We did,
and we know Ty. She is known to
take them down. And the ones that are not
out. The ones that are married, the ones that are
straight
presenting.
Because like, isn't she on? She's on Basketball Wives now with Ming Lee.
Yeah. So Ty.
I did not know Ming Lee was a part of the community.
I didn't know that either.
Well, now,
so Ty is turning them loose.
She's turned them every which way but loose.
But Drew gives me, especially in this phase of, divorce, she wants the attention from all sources.
From any
source. News is, even if it's a rumor, she's okay with it.
Because what is she doing with Dennis?
Exactly.
You've lived here. You know the music scene in Atlanta. I've never heard of Dennis producing any music. I've heard of him producing hot dogs, insurance, and hair.
That part.
I've never heard of him being the go-to for the studio.
Quincy Jones over here.
I know, like
Rodney Jerkins. I mean, based off what I've heard, it sounds really good.
It does, but is it Dennis though?
It's giving me, from what I gather about Dennis, he's a very successful entrepreneur.
Yes.
And he's even there are some friends of mine that have been hired for him for film projects. So it to me, it just seems like he is utilizing this platform to tap into more businesses. And if he's the brains behind it,
I'm not mad at that.
and the money behind it,
yeah,
but I don't think that he's like with the
he's not in the studio creating beats.
Yeah, it's given. He makes the executive decision, and he is he's dishing the money, and Drew caught his attention. I mean, he didn't really.
I think it was a play because I think Portia plays in his face. I think Portia likes him to be her. She likes to control him. She doesn't want him to go too far, but she doesn't want him, right? She's been there, done that. She has her arrow set on bigger targets, right? But
Princess Zamunda.
Right, but she does want to keep him in. She wants to keep him in, as a fan.
Yes, and he said two can play that game.
And he went.
And I will say this. I mean, she had the limits of not filming at our house, and somehow this storyline pulled through.
It did. That is so funny that she married another woman's husband to get the big house, and then by the time she came back, had no house. That's crazy. But okay, let me get to this because I know we got to get to this Diddy stuff. So one more question on Housewives. Question for you.
Okay.
Angela is hilarious. I did not realize I was going to be enjoying Angela.
She's my favorite.
She is it.
She is classic Housewives.
I love it.
She throws the best shade, keeps it calm.
She ain't scared. She's not scared. Grown woman. What do you think about her being upset with Shamia? If someone says to me, like, and we're all, with my girlfriends, we're all out, and someone says they should sleep with somebody else's husband, me as a wife, I don't like it. I'm like, what? Like, because if you say that about her husband, and the way Portia said it so matter-of-factly, do I believe Portia can do it? Absolutely.
That's
But
what I'm saying.
The way she said it, so she normalized just.
And I would say this is normal to a lot of people.
It is.
It's so normal to a lot of people. And the fact that, she already came from a situation where she stole somebody's husband.
She did it one time.
So it's like we know she means business.
We know she has a skill set.
Yeah. But I'm glad that Angela finally cleared up that story about Charles having the baby because it seemed to be like an ongoing thing for many episodes. Just like people kept saying it. And then I love the way this season is being produced. It's very well crafted storylines. They're keeping us invested. And Angela is definitely reality TV gold in the making.
She is. And between the three newbies, I didn't expect it to be her. I'm over Brit. I'm over it.
Really? Are you sure?
I'm so sure. And the fake husband. Drink your matcha. I'm over it.
Yeah, it's just like they just felt from a producer standpoint, I think that they fell through the cracks of like, okay, this is going to be good TV. This is going to be so messy and so obnoxious. We're going to find something good out of these people. Yeah.
It's giving doing the bending. And Angela, does she not look like Summer Walker to you? She looks like Summer Walker's mom.
It's the enhancements.
It is. It looks like Summer Walker's mom.
I would not be mad if she was casted as Summer Walker's mom.
Yeah. I mean, I like her though. I'm loving it.
She does. That is a certain look.
Yeah.
The Summer Walker look, I feel like, yeah, I think that a lot of women that I've seen that have enhancements.
Yeah, y'all know my dog.
Aww.
My dog.
I'll bring out my baby too. Come here,
They
Prince.
burst in. They burst in the room. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Come here, sugar pie. Aw. Oh, hey, buddy. Come here, sugar pie. Now, who is that?
That's Prince, my baby.
Hey, Prince. Come here, sugar pie. You want to say hi to Prince? Now, sugar pie has been out thoughting, and she has 2 puppies.
Oh yeah, we saw you, girl. We saw the aftermath.
She has two babies. 2 puppies. Yes. And they're not coming in. They are not coming in. And Kane, see, he just comes in and then wants to go back out.
You got a horse and 4 dogs
and 2 puppies.
Wow.
But we're getting rid of the puppies.
Okay.
June 2nd, they're ready to go. They're ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you go? Are you going to sell them?
We're selling them. Yeah. One already has a home.
Wow.
Louis, see, he just came. You did this. You came in, so now you're staying. Now you're staying. Okay? Just interrupting my show. Just come on, just rudely interrupting. But yeah, I think I like Angela. I like the fact that she's not afraid. She holds everybody. You know
who I could do without? You know who I could do without?
Who? Which one?
She's no G.
Who? Cynthia? Is she really there?
That's what I'm saying. It's just like, all right,
she's not really there.
She's okay.
She's not really there. Portia is it as much as I may not. I want Kenya to come back.
Yes,
I want Kenya back.
I want Kenya, and I would love a little Candy.
I like Candy. Yeah, I don't think that it doesn't feel Housewives without Candy and Todd.
I may be small.
You remember when she did the Rise Above song?
Oh yeah.
Lord Jesus. Yeah, I'm Team Twirl. I want Kenya back because I feel like if we have Portia, we have to have it balanced out with Kenya. It's not balanced right now.
For sure.
It's off balance.
I will say, out of the new girls, which other new girls can go out?
I'm good with Kelly and Britt going. I don't believe Kelly at all.
Yeah.
And I don't believe Britt at all. And I think they're really trying. I mean, maybe they're going to grow on us, but they're really trying. But it's just not. It's just Britt definitely. I don't. Kelly, we may be able to try to see what.
Yeah, out of the 2, I would give Kelly a different shot.
Yeah.
And I would not.
Britt needs a different show. This is not it. Maybe that show she was doing before with TVJ or something. This is
Penthouse
Pets. This is not the show for her.
Yeah, it feels like she's on a different show.
Yeah, because even her storylines are just.
I mean, honestly,
Love and Hip Hop. Love and Hip Hop.
Basketball Wives or Love and Hip Hop. Yeah,
she's Basketball Wives. Yep.
But so she would have to become a basketball wife.
At this point, the Basketball Wives are not Basketball Wives because Evelyn is not a basketball wife. Jennifer is married to a 30-year-old investor.
That's what I'm saying. We gotta get back. We gotta get back.
Where's basketball in these wives? Where is the basketball?
Where's the basketball?
Yeah,
Angela's a real housewife.
Angela is a real housewife. Yes, and yeah, because even though Britt is married, girl, we ain't falling for that. Wags, she could be on Wags. She could do Wags. Because I don't know what that was.
It's giving baddies.
Baddies, right?
It's giving baddies.
Is that WeTV? Is that WeTV?
It's Zeus Network.
It's Zeus. It's Zeus.
It's giving baddies.
It's giving Zeus. It is
giving Zeus. It's like, okay,
you
know the stuffing.
One of these things does not belong here. One of these things is not the same. Can you guess which one is doing its own thing? Yeah. Now it's time to play our game.
Like, Kelly, you just made it. Kelly, you just made it.
I'm gonna give you a pass.
Yeah.
Not really.
But Britt is like, okay.
This
when I at first glance, I thought that Britt was going to give more Portia. But I will say, even Portia wasn't giving Portia. Portia was married to Cordell.
She was when she first came on. She was,
and
very different Portia. But this is the real Portia, because I remember Portia from being in Dime magazine.
Really?
Yes, I remember we did a photo shoot with the Dime magazine girls. And
did you see Diddy? Was she?
I didn't, but I probably wouldn't recognize her because she probably doesn't look the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dime magazine.
You remember Dime magazine?
Yes. That was a time. I mean, we have to offline about that, because
yes, we should get up this weekend and just run these things back, and then when you come on, we can go back. But let's get into tonight's the story for tonight. Do you have your notes?
So far? Everything's been so good.
Do you have your notes? Because we are going to talk about, this was the first day in Sean Diddy Combs' trial. And it was I don't know that I've ever heard of a bigger first day than this trial. A lot of things happened. A lot of things happened outside the courtroom. So I guess we can kind of address some of that first. One of the most peculiar things was Misa.
I knew you was going.
Misa, Justin's mother and one of Sean Diddy Combs' exes, entered the court with a walker. Now, Misa is 52 years old. She was just here in Atlanta doing a fantasy workshop. I mean, fashion, not fantasy. I'm so sorry. Fashion. You got to be careful, because with this, you know what? Let me let Kane out, because this is too much. This is too much. Don't come back. Okay? Don't come back. Do not come back. Okay.
I'm liking that dress now. Huh? You did that. That dress is all that. Oh, here, friend.
So Misa hobbles to the courtroom with a walker. And I'm just like,
after suing Mary J. Blige.
For $5 million. So it's like, was there a confrontation? And she did hobble. She did hobble because they were filming her, and it was really strange. And I thought to myself, they made a united front, right? So she came along with Dana Tran, who has the love, the baby love, the baby love, and the rest of the Combs children all came together. So it must have been really important for her to get there if she had to hobble.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about, this man is responsible for everybody's livelihood. I mean, we saw a dynasty fall that we never anticipated it to fall.
Never anticipated.
We're talking about a businessman, the media mogul, the legendary. I've never thought that I would see this in my lifetime, the fall of Diddy, and the fact that we are witnessing the Combs children and the Combs, everybody from Miss Janet, everybody. We're seeing everybody see their court. We're seeing a gray-haired Diddy fight for his life. And
these pictures are unbelievable. Now, I listened to recordings all day today, and reporter said that they keep talking about how he looks. First of all, it just further emphasizes the vanity of Hollywood. He's 55 years old, almost like, of course he's gray. And that just shows what lengths he goes to remain, vain, right? Because I don't think that he probably looks so much older. I think we're just not used to seeing him gray. Gray looks very different. They said he was reading the Bible. He was reading scriptures during the breaks. He was motioning the love to his family, who were all there. But when we talk about what actually happened today, and I guess we could just jump on into this. It's very shocking, and it's especially shocking because, like I said, this was opening statements. Today was opening statements, and for us to hear such detail in the opening statements was kind of shocking for me. Before we get into that, I do want to note that Cassie is supposed to go on the stand tomorrow.
Wow.
And Cassie is pregnant. And let me just ask you, what do you think? To me, that is the worst. If I was a defense attorney, I would be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here. So now the jury has to watch a pregnant Cassie.
And on top of that, the details that came out today about the
Let's get into
sex worker that came forward, giving his testimony, and he admittedly said that during an encounter, he urinated on her at her request while Mr. Combs watched. And that is kind of like what everybody's going wild with. And, we have had our conversations about kinks. And I mean, the real thing is that, it may sound taboo to some people, but this is how they was getting down.
Well, we do know that
was this a part of abuse and racketeering? That's what it's all about. It's not just about urinating in the face. It's like, was this a part of a bigger thing?
Right. What is this? So I want to start with reading because it's sex trafficking and racketeering, right? These are the charges, and the definitions for sex trafficking is sex trafficking laws criminalize the use of force, fraud, or coercion to induce someone into a commercial sex act or to cause a child to engage in such act. It also addresses the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for commercial sex acts, regardless of whether it's force, fraud, or coercion is used if the victim is a minor. Now, force, fraud, or coercion is the use of physical or psychological pressure to compel someone into a commercial sex act. So when Philip Daniel, who is Daniel Phillip is the former manager of a male adult entertainment business where they would go out and dance at bachelorette parties. Male stripper, basically, is what he was. He testified that he went to the Gramercy Park Hotel expecting to perform for a bachelorette party, but when he arrived, Cassie was alone. And there was a man in the room with a handkerchief around his face, and he said he automatically recognized it as Diddy. He was given some money, it was like $4,000, to supposedly massage her and then see what else would happen. The man, Diddy, that he says was Diddy, was in the corner watching and masturbating. And this happened several times over a period of years. He said sometimes this would go on for days. Now, he did say that he recounted an incident where Ventura was on the computer when Combs shouted at her to come here. He testified that before Diddy started dragging Cassie by her hair into the bedroom. He testified that Cassie was screaming and repeatedly saying, "I'm sorry," while he heard what sounded like Combs slapping her. He said he was shocked, but he was worried about losing his life if he reported the incident.
I can't help but get tight-faced when I hear those gruesome details.
Yeah.
My God, like it is so disturbing to hear the people that we see with under the flashing lights and red carpets and the people that are glamorized. This is the reality of what she experienced for years on years at a time.
For almost a decade.
For almost a decade. And to some people you think that, oh my, she has it all. She's with this man that's untoppable. She's in movies, she's in music, she's in fashion, but to be abused to the extent that she has been reportedly been abused, and to still have to relive these details as we face it in court, all while being pregnant, it's just really, really disturbing to see. And Diddy's defense is claiming that this isn't what it appears to be. It's
they're saying that they're
complicated relationships and adult choices.
Yeah, adult choices, and that he's not on trial for domestic violence, because they obviously the jury watched the video today. The video from so Jesus, it was like day one, they got right into it. So but my question to you is, I mean, if this is day one, there's a lot more to go, and there's a lot more witnesses that are going to be called to the stand. We've seen a list of witnesses that include some pretty big names. With the idea of sex trafficking, and first of all, prostitution is illegal, right? Mm-hmm. That also is because this gentleman was being paid to have sex. And so that is definitely prostitution, So, and by him saying that he was afraid, he said that Diddy took a picture of his license, and he felt like it was, he was intimidated by that, and felt like he was being pressured not to say anything. Prostitution is legal in Vegas, but nowhere else in the United States. Mm-hmm. Not even in other places in Nevada is it legal. It's literally just in Vegas, in that small area. So racketeering, definition of racketeering is a term used to describe a pattern of illegal activity often associated with organized crime that aims to generate profit through dishonest or coercive means. So in my opinion, and no, this was not in Vegas. This happened in New York, and this happened in Florida. But the Gramercy Hotel and all this is happening in New York, and I'm sure some happened in LA as well, because this particular guy, Daniel Phillip, actually was someone that they called numerous times. It seems like with both sex trafficking, the definition, and racketeering, coercion is a big piece of this, right? And if someone is made to feel like they cannot tell because of physical threat or some type of threat, be it physical or emotional or whatever. And so I understand now, after hearing that testimony and seeing how the prosecution is presenting the case, why they are saying sex trafficking and racketeering. Because if they can prove that these acts were done to people and they were being used and coerced and threatened to do this, then it could qualify as sex trafficking, because he's being paid to come and to perform sex. So
absolutely. And then you have the other layer of, this was an ecosystem of a media mogul who was tied to multi-million-dollar brands, who had a staff that enabled these kinds of allegations. So with that layer on top of that,
Yeah.
There's a system of people facilitating this alleged abuse, and that is why this is a federal case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So reports said that because these details were so graphic, Daniel Phillip was on the stand today. He's actually going to be on the stand again tomorrow. And he had to give numerous details about several different encounters in several different locations. And Diddy's daughters, the twins, got up and left during the allegations. And I'm just going to say, for me, my heart goes out to his children, because regardless of, I'm sure they've seen a lot, you know what I mean? I'm sure they've seen a lot anyway. But for them to have to hear this is got to be difficult, even for Christian and Quincy and Justin.
Yeah.
I don't know about Mama Combs. I know she
created that monster.
She's fighting for her baby, but you remember we learned in those documentaries that she used to throw sex parties while he was younger, and that's the house that he grew up. He grew up in a house where she was throwing sex parties for money. So I don't know, but just hearing that the teen daughters who are under 20, right under 20,
they just graduated high school.
Yeah.
They've been thrown into this. I mean, there's no telling what they've seen. I'm sorry, Prince.
Hey, he's appalled. He's appalled.
Come on, hey, come on.
He is appalled by what we're talking about.
He's appalled by the allegations. He said, "No Diddy, please."
As he should be.
It's really like you said, it's really sad. But I just think on the other side of is that, like, the victims, lives destroyed, their families impacted, thousands of people attached to the system that was the Diddy train. Whether you're an ex-employee, ex-recording artist. This case has opened up a can of worms of things that people in the industry would. I don't want to get caught saying that, because it could blackball you, it could get you tied from certain circles or cut from certain opportunities, and they acting up tonight. They acting up.
He just is like, get what she said.
But I mean, my heart goes out to the Combs family, because they are young and they have to see this.
But you're right, the victims, and Cassie, and what's troubling to me, Ryan, is that I hear so many men saying online that they don't have empathy for her because didn't she get rich? But I don't care how much money you have. The way that this Daniel Phillip has described these encounters, and he's saying that, he felt like they were consensual in one statement, but then in another statement, he says that he heard her being beat. So how can we say that she was consensual if she was being beat when she didn't do what was asked of her? But for her to have to, I don't care if she won $100 million, having to relive this while she's pregnant in front of the world, in front of a court. I mean, the headlines were going crazy today with Daniel Phillip's testimony. Can you imagine when Cassie gets on the stand? And then she has to face him. That's another thing people don't think about, is she still has to sit across from him. And I guarantee you, he is banking on being able to intimidate her with his presence.
Yep. And there's several memes of the Diddy stare.
Mm-hmm.
And we know what that's like. We know what that means. And the fact that we are living to see this come in court, it's big. This is going to be going on for almost 2 months. So
I think this is going to change a lot in the entertainment industry. I want to ask you, do you think, because I started in music, and I think that's when I first met you. I was working with a lot of music artists, and specifically hip hop, right? The foolishness. But do you think that the whole idea of don't ask, don't tell is going to affect that, and more victims will feel like they can speak out?
I mean, we're already seeing so much unfold in real time with this new generation of entertainers. I mean, we see the scandals play out so crazy. I mean, I feel like that veil of we got to witness the generation prior that didn't have social media. And Diddy is definitely the person that was attached largely to that. So we would hear so many stories, but there wasn't any kind of proof or receipts.
Right.
Now the receipts are so clear. We've never seen a surveillance video like that before.
Oh my gosh.
Even before, I'm sure there were people that were, that had their opinions about Cassie coming forward. But after they saw that video, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, I do know lots of people that also on the stand today was a security guard at the hotel that was there. And he said that when he went to the room, Cassie said she wanted to leave. Diddy did not want her to leave, but then he just offered him a wad of cash. And that speaks to the pattern of when something happens, we just throw money at it, right? And then people are silenced, and people will go along, and people will, oblige the situation because they're receiving money. The tape was actually, paid to go away all this time. It just happened to make its way back up. But that happened in 2016. So that was over 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. Well, I guess about 8 years when it was released. But think about how many times
you're saying this, and my stomach is sinking because I know that that's just one video. That's just one of thousands of things that were confiscated during a raid, and they got this man's iCloud. They have the proof of what these people are testifying for.
Yep.
So it's going to be personified as more and more evidence comes out. And I can only imagine the people that wasn't brave enough to speak up because they feared of the consequences. This is deep, because the hip hop generation, no snitching. I know that's tied to gun violence, but it's a street code of just like, okay, you take your L's in private, and you deal with what happened to you in private.
Yeah.
And if you become somebody that's unknown, sorry for you. Whatever happened to you.
Yeah. But
now we're living in a new day where there appears to be some accountability, but it depends on what the defense brings. If the defense can really say that, okay, this wasn't what it appears to be, he may walk away a free man.
But I will say this, even if he does walk away free, I can't see
he's not going to be the same.
He's going to have a bunch of civil suits, right? Because they've acknowledged, the defense is going in acknowledging that there was domestic violence because they have to, because of that video, right? And there are so many other, it's not funny, but there are so many other people that are finally spoken out and acknowledged that there was violence, there was a threat of violence. So they're not even saying that he wasn't violent. They're just saying that he did not sex traffic. They're not even arguing the domestic violence. And that tells you a lot from that point, that they're just kind of like, hey, okay, we're not saying he's not a bad person. We're just saying that he didn't do this. I also want to make note that the defense,
that part,
they had, the guy in court that was arguing, but then the lawyer that they actually had speak to the media was a Black woman. And it just bothers me because I feel like the strategy of having a Black woman defend a Black man I'm just saying it's played out. We should, and I understand sis had to get her coins, good for her, but it just is so obvious, you know, and it's in an attempt to sway the media to and the public opinion to say this Black female attorney is standing up for his rights is sickening to me. When yes, Haitian Empress says mammying, exactly. I'm over the mammying, and I feel like we shouldn't do that because I just, and again, I understand lawyers have to represent guilty people. That's their job. We have to have prosecutors, but and not everyone.
As soon as you say that, I think about, and I was only a kid when this was happening, but that trial, that shooting trial, not the murder trial, the shooting trial with Shine.
Yes.
In which Shine took the fall for everything, and Diddy got to go through that cycle of rebranding himself, calling himself, went from Puff Daddy to Diddy, to having #1 singles and albums all over again.
To love.
And, you know, I don't know if the old ways will open the new door, but I definitely think that it's trying to get that public sympathies. This is I don't think that I definitely think the court of public opinion, it's going to be hard to take a side in this one with all.
Well, I think that, like I said, even if he does get off, he's not gotten off, because I think people know now. Number one,
people always known. People always known, but have never.
I think people have speculated. I don't think, and I'll ask the chat, because I think there's always been rumors. And there's rumors about everyone that's a celebrity, right? There's rumors, but there's also been a lot of denial. And I think that people talk, but I don't think people really believed, even if they did believe that he was a part of the LGBTQ community, which he never presented as, right? Ever. That was always his secret, except within his small circles. But for that to be now exposed, and then this whole fetish that doesn't seem sexual, it seems more violent and perverse, that's going to affect him. Because it's one thing to think, okay, you're having a sex party. It's another thing to think that you are forcing someone to urinate in someone's mouth to the point where they're choking on it. And you're enjoying that, right? And you're enjoying beating people. That's another thing. So I think that people are going to see him as a person that is evil, you know, and I don't know where his place would be if he, you know, were to come out. And even if it is all about power, hey, you there, he's definitely not a heterosexual male.
Absolutely.
I don't know what he is, but he's not a heterosexual male. What do you call this? What should we call him?
He was just a freak.
This freak.
You're just a freak. And I think that the nuances of sexuality in hip hop is obviously a thing, especially coming from the era that he came from. But I also seen some things play out in our faces that, as a man of the community, I was just like, okay. And, you know, I just think that the last, you know, I'm a former RHOA employee. So I got a chance to see behind the scenes when it came to his latest project, Love, when he rebranded himself as Love and went with there was such a machine to make sure that he was on the charts again. He reclaimed his place in music history. There were so many award shows that he randomly got awards for. And
he got like Lifetime Achievement.
He got Lifetime Achievement.
Yeah, it was a bunch.
It was a huge rollout. And, you know, I grew up admiring Diddy. But something about this last rollout, it just felt inauthentic. And the fact that he made a point to apologize to Cassie during one of those speeches and to come, it's kind of felt like he was coming clean about the things that had happened. And it reminded me of that trial that happened back in the day when he got the rebrand. And it's like, okay, what is he trying? What is okay? What, he's pushing out something, but he's silencing something else.
And can we just say, I just want to make sure we keep the context of this. That happened right after Kim's death, right? So after Kim Porter passed, his longtime girlfriend, he took a moment and went dark. And then he came back as Love. And he came back, I mean, just totally. Now, there are multiple allegations. We live in Atlanta. We know that Kim lived here and, lived in Columbus. It was from Columbus, but was here very often. And there are multiple allegations that she was physically abused to a ridiculous extent. So I took that when I saw him doing all of that, I felt like it was him trying to apologize, because sometimes when a person passes and you know you haven't done that person right, it sticks with you in a different way. And that's how I interpreted it. I was like, he knows he didn't do right by her. And he is, because you remember, he really had a tough time with that death.
And well, your self-love?
Let's say he
be the love.
He appeared to have a hard time with it. That also could have been a master marketing scam.
It felt like an episode of Empire.
It did. It did. It really did. It did. Because we know, but to your point, he's always done that. Even after, because one of those documentaries pointed out when he was a part of that, the big concert promotion where 4 students passed away. And he just totally rebranded himself and stepped away, offered some money to the families, and then stepped away from it, rebranded, and started over again. And we remember what happened. That was when I was, in my music excitement, when it was him and J-Lo and all that. And it's like, he came out of that, and it almost like they glorified him as the victor, overcoming the fact that the police were trying to wrongly accuse him, and he was trying to reach down and pull this young brother up.
It was easier for him to control his message back then. It was easier.
Somehow it's almost like, how a person tries to stop right before it's too late. So he had done so much bad stuff. I feel like he was trying to turn a new leaf, but it was too late at that point, because he did apologize to Cassie, but it was kind of like dark, because he was like, now don't make me go back. So I'm trying to, and it's like, you're saying this on the record? Like, what?
It was the most disingenuous apology. It seemed like, damn, okay, you want me to apologize? Okay, I apologize right now.
Actually, Haitian Empress says he did it after Biggie, because you remember when he did the record dance. Yeah, and that would make and to the point where
that was narrow.
As it was, and we didn't know, but as smart and as astute of a businessman as he is, for him to release that song without clearing the sample shows he was in an emotional place.
Yeah,
because the song, he's lost more money on that song than any probably thing he's ever done.
Yeah. I mean, that says a lot. It really does, because that song was such a pivotal moment in hip hop and to his career trajectory.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Biggie's career, it was about Notorious B.I.G. Next thing you know, Diddy's at the forefront of the career, and he's in the music videos, and he's the one that's in front of the camera, and his personality takes precedent over Bad Boy. It's crazy to think about how it all played out.
Yeah,
there's always been a rebrand machine of how he presented himself through his
Because after the Tupac and Biggie tragedy, he distanced himself from anything that was not fun, and he became like the spokesperson for MTV. He was vote or die, and constantly we got to keep this moving forward. He became so positive and
life of the party.
Yeah, but it wasn't from like a standpoint of he was always a party guy, but it became even more crossover, right?
Mm-hmm.
And distancing himself from, because Shine was his artist, but he was street. He didn't have everything that he did, even though Mace was street. When he did records with Bad Boy, they were party songs. It wasn't any Mace murder stuff there. It was Bad Boy, more money, more problems. We're dancing in shiny suits, Yep.
And becoming an A-lister and being accepted worldwide through pop culture, that's a huge part of his legacy. That is the opposite of what we're seeing now. But you can't deny that man's legacy. And
no, you can't. And I was like, so what do we do with that, Ryan? Because I went to Bad Boy 25. It was a time. It was a time. It was a time. And I knew that we would never see that again. I went to Bad Boy 25. I also went to Outkast when Outkast did their reunion. And it's just some things, this is never going to happen again. I went to Outkast 2 nights. If Bad Boy had done 2 nights, I would have went 2 nights. Yeah. Because it was that much fun. The energy, because that's, where we grew up. And I will tell you, Faith, Jodeci, 112, but Diddy and Mace together killed it. That was the show. They both came out in their Harlem swag, and just the showmanship was unmatched. Everybody else, they had a lot of surprises, and Jodeci was a surprise. Mary, Lil' Kim, but really it was all about Mace and Diddy. And because that being the crux of like the vibe for Bad Boy, setting the tone for it.
That was such a pivotal run for them.
It was.
For me, I have to compartmentalize because that music inspired me to be who I am. That music. Yeah, that music, it inspired. I was a huge, I admired Diddy so much that I wanted to work for him one day. And
so glad you didn't, Ryan.
Well, I mean, he was my boss technically, but
he was. You were at Revolt.
Yeah,
that's true. And I trained making the band. The media training making the band.
See, he is the modern or the hip hop Berry Gordy.
Absolutely.
When you think about the legacy that Motown had, he did the same thing. It was like, how do we get this hip hop music to cross over into pop culture the way that it has? Mm-hmm. And responsible for the sounds of today. So many people are sampling it.
He is. And just I think he set the culture for the music industry. That no sleep, you can sleep when you die is definitely because of him. That whole idea of we're going to be perfectionists, we're going to get it right, we're going to work till we stop. And it was inspirational. I'm not going to say, it definitely was. Anything can be too much, right? But his approach of being a perfectionist and being committed to what you're doing by any means necessary definitely inspired me. We're going forward, not backwards, not to the side. I'm going forward. You see, I love it. Like I took so much. From that. Don't stop now, straight to the top now.
It's so many things that music cemented for the culture. And if you were there for that era, it was nothing like it. I can't bring myself to. I mean, he's just responsible for so much.
I think we have to separate the art from the artist. I think we're going to have to do that because I know some people in the chat are going to disagree with me. And yes, there's a troll in the chat, and we're just going to act like it's not there. But I grew up watching The Cosby Show. And I will not watch the Cosby Show. If I'm home and I've had a bad day or I'm stressed, I will watch, and it makes me feel better. I like the Cosby, and I refuse to not watch it because of what Bill Cosby allegedly did in his throughout his life. I can't connect the two. And sitting in that Bad Boy 25th anniversary concert, and just most of the music is the soundtrack of my young adulthood, right? But I don't condone, and I did come into contact and knew that there was some abuse. I didn't know the extent, but I knew there was some abuse happening because I actually, worked with the girls Dirty Money for years. So I knew there was some things happening that were not on the up and up, but I didn't know the extent. But I also think that
did you feel it? Like in that situation, you're an empathetic person.
Yeah.
Of course, we are professional when we do our jobs, but what was your heart telling you during that time?
I knew something was not right. And I've said this about a lot of times, the worst thing that can happen for you is for you to meet the people that you looked up to. And I felt that in those instances when I went to the Artist Factory and they were contracting me. Hiram Hicks was contracting me to media train and work with different artists and met different labels. And a lot of times the people that you have looked up to, when you meet them, it's not that way. And being around, I just didn't like being around him. Whenever he was in the room, I felt very uncomfortable. Because it was like people were pressing, right? Everybody wanted to be around, but then the people that were there, you could tell that it was an energy of people being intimidated, right? Or afraid. And, we know that there were a lot of other whispers, specifically here in Atlanta, about a lot of other things that happened that we, won't go into online. But yeah, I just didn't like I did not ever want to be in the room.
You just have to think that if that was energy for that specific thing, how does it infiltrate into other businesses, other departments, other people, people that have been liberated and controlled to keep that system going?
Mm-hmm. And I will say this, not necessarily in his defense, but just realistically, that was also just the culture of the music industry.
Yep.
So I worked, did work with Bad Boy. I also did work with several other, what do we call them? Like umbrella labels that were up under, because there were so many, from Murder Inc. to So Def to Disturbing the Peace. There's so many, Slip and Slide, you know what I mean? So the culture of the music industry, specifically urban music industry, because it took TLC to rescue me to get to it. Because at first I was just in hip hop and I was like, it does not feel safe. You remember that line from The Color Purple, "The world ain't safe for a girl in the world full of men's"?
Wow.
It was not safe for a young woman in the hip hop industry. It was not. It just was not a safe place at all. So the culture of being objectification, misogyny was very much just a part of the culture, not just at Bad Boy. I want to be clear about that. It's not just, it was, now I don't know if it was the same type of freak house, but the younger, I don't know, because they even mentioned today that he kept asking for more and more baby oil. I'm like, what? That was mentioned on the stand today.
Yeah.
But there was
can you imagine that cleaning
misogyny and objectification and unsafe environment for young men and young women who wanted to be a part of that industry. It could be very unsafe, because I did talk to many young men that had similar experiences. So it wasn't just young women being intimidated. I talked to several young men that were not artists that were in training and, that had a buzz going, but weren't at that level, that had horrific experiences and Some of them ran and were afraid to tell. So it just, like you said, it just was a big part of the culture of hip hop at that time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I definitely, what you just said. I mean, for me, as a journalist, I'm always thinking about the stories that are untold,
Mm-hmm.
the people that didn't get a chance to speak up, the people that that we have no idea about. And you hit on the nose. I feel like there are so many people that try to get into the record industry that are naive, or they think like, oh yeah, I can just do this and it's going to get me to this. But then you end up getting something that you can't bargain for.
Uh-huh.
And, while these people are having their day in court, I'm just thinking about the people that maybe didn't live to see their day, or maybe they are too afraid to speak up.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I'm not gonna lie, right? I talked to a lot of them. I did talk to people over the years that had horrific stories, and I, sometimes you speak to people out of their wanting to protect them, like don't say anything, because I know, like if you say something in this business, you don't get another chance for an opportunity. But I do think it's worth saying that there are so many men, so many women specifically. I just speak to young women. Carisha had the show on Revolt, titled Carisha Please, and everybody was saying, "Oh, this is so cool. He's putting her on. He's putting her in position." And she was talking about she likes golden showers now, and she does, all these things. And a lot of young women feel like that is the goal, to be with a superstar, right? I mean, we live here. We know that there are every night, if there's a celebrity in town, girls are pressing, Christal, can you help me get in? I just need to get, if he just sees me. And it's like, I hope this is a cautionary tale. Just hearing what this young girl went through, I doubt that many people could think that was worth it. If you hear it, and it's one thing to see her. I remember seeing them at the Met Gala. You remember that year they went to the Met Gala? Yeah. And she was up there and he was down on his one knee just presenting, because she's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And I remember thinking, he is putting on a show, but it's hiding a lot, because I had seen them.
It's like, what was that about?
Yeah, it was all for him, even when he went with Carisha.
That pairing to me, it just never seemed authentic.
Yeah. No, I think it was opportunistic on both sides.
Yeah.
He wanted to connect with the younger audience, and I think she wanted to,
It spoke to her mission.
Of course. But I also think, I don't think, if something is too good to be true, it is.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she did what she needed to do to get that position.
There's all kinds of stories of how she got that position.
There are. We can talk offline about that.
Yes. I'm excited to see how this all unfolds. I hope that more truth comes to light. I don't want people to get so caught up in the details that we really miss. Like, okay, this is
real.
This is real. This man is, a dynasty has fallen. This man is really in jail, and people's lives were impacted in a negative way.
Yeah.
And while
that will never be able to be, you can't get that back. These type of being abused like that, I mean, you could go to therapy, you can get help, but you don't get that time back. You don't get that innocence back. And she's just, like, to your point, she's just one of many nameless people that will never come out, and also, I remember being at a certain celebrity's house here in Atlanta, and R. Kelly was there. And people were making fun of the fact that R. Kelly had a lot of really young women there, right? And I got angry And I was like, I'm leaving. This is not right. Like, you guys are laughing like this is funny. This is not funny. But my point in that is there, everybody that was there was complicit. Everybody that was there. So, and everybody that was there, if they were complicit, a lot of them were doing the same thing, right? A lot of them were engaging in similar behavior. They just didn't have the light on them like R. Kelly. So I would say I would be looking at all the many executives that worked for Bad Boy.
Yep.
Some of them are already on trial, but
yep. That's what I'm saying. It's a ecosystem,
right?
A multi-million-dollar ecosystem of people that enable this type of alleged behavior.
Yeah,
and that is what I, as a truth seeker, that is what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah,
I hope that the people that struggle with this feel vindicated, but I definitely want a fair trial for Mr. Combs.
Yeah,
but I do. Those people, it took a lot to get here.
It did, and I think maybe this can be the beginning of a lot of things happening. I know that L.A. Reid has some charge. I mean, there are a lot of other people that have charges on them that are being
Russell Simmons.
But those two are huge. Russell Simmons and L.A. Reid, those are huge. And I've heard. We'll talk on offline about that.
Mr. 300 Entertainment, Kevin Lowndes.
You said who?
Kevin Lowndes.
Yeah. He did. He too. Yeah, just recently. But the L.A. Reid has been going on for a while. We'll talk offline. But I want to thank you, Ryan, for hanging out with me today and talking about this. I needed another Libra, a Libra journalist.
I hope I was fair.
Yes, fair, and yet, making sure that we talk about it from a realistic, humanistic perspective, because it's a part of, entertainment, but these are also real people. And I think all of this is being humanized. Even people saying, "Oh my God, Diddy has gray hair." Like, yeah, he's a real person, right?
He's a real person.
Yeah, he's not this. People in Hollywood, it's a lot of bright lights, but those lights turn off, and they are real people. So, this is a real person.
He's in the jail cell with somebody regular right now.
Yeah, he probably by himself, but he's definitely finally feeling the karma of his deeds. And think about sitting there in that cell knowing all that you've done and just having to sit with it.
And all that was hidden.
And all that was
time. Or all that you thought that you can control, that you feel.
That part. I
mean, his defense, the first defense is already left. So
it's gone. What you said on Instagram is now gone. It's now gone. So I do think that's probably the worst part, is he's just sitting there and he can't do anything to control his narrative. The narrative is playing out, and he has been in jail for, the better part of a year at this point. Almost about half a year. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's still crazy to think that P. Diddy is in jail. Is in prison.
It's yeah. We'll see what happens tomorrow, day 2.
Day 1 was crazy. Day 2, what will happen on day 2? 2025 is barreling down on us. We could barely get through the Shannon Sharp kink before I was like, the Diddy trial is next week. We can't do this.
Has there been any new Shannon Sharp news?
Well, I think it's resting because of all this Diddy stuff, but what is up with these rich men and these kings?
Insane.
What is going on? Well, Ryan, let people know where they can follow you, where they can find more about what you have going on.
Yes, I have an outlet that I'm getting off the ground. It's called peachpop5.com, and covering pop culture and all the things that happen in Georgia when I can. And then, we'll see what happens next. I'm the transit guy for Gwinnett County. So, we'll see what happens next. But I love covering pop culture whenever I can. It's my first love. Yeah. And it's always a pleasure, Christal. You already know. Libra power.
Libra power. Yes. Thank you so much. I love having you on. We have such, because it's real friendship. So it feels natural, and I appreciate you. And I will definitely be reaching back out over the next couple of weeks to see when you're available, because this is going to keep going. We know that this is.
Yeah, I'm down for Diddy trial.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you so much. Tell the puppy I appreciate him letting me borrow Dad for.
Yes, Mr. Prince. Mr. Prince is sending his love.
Prince,
and I'm glad that our dog babies are there. I can't believe you got a horse.
You have to come and see Zuri. You have to come.
Yes, please. That is just amazing. I mean, before we go, how do you feel about all of the surge of cowgirls and cowboys?
So it's interesting because I did an event a couple of weeks ago called Cowboys and Creatives, and all these people, it's supposed to be this big cowgirl thing. There were no cowboys and cowgirls. Like, no one had horses. And I started to bring Zuri, and then I was like, I don't want a whole bunch of random people on my horse.
These are the cowgirls that like hookah.
They don't really. These people aren't really into the country. They just want to line dance. They want to line dance. Yeah. So they're not really about horses and outdoors and the nature. But I will tell you this: a lot of young women. I'm telling these young women, if you want a good man, you open up your boundaries and your variables and add in a good old fashioned country boy, maybe a cowboy. Lots of good looking cowboys. They can fix things. They can ride horses.
I think you're onto something.
Just saying. You may want to open it up. Because I think that. Because there are these people, this has now become a fad. Beyonce has launched a fad, right? Mm-hmm. Beyonce and this Boots on the Ground song. But I grew up in Oklahoma.
So you're
there were rodeos and whenever you go out to one of them, there are people that's really their way of life. It's like ranching and riding horses and, they're fun. It's fun. Yeah,
I love seeing Zuri on my feed. I am always
Zuri.
When I saw that you were an equestrian, I was like, whoa. And
Ryan, I am speaking in existence. I'm trying to get this show. That's my goal. My ultimate goal is to get this series out about black cowgirl, right? And I know the timing is right now, so I'm working very diligently on it. But that is my goal, because I run into so many people that are like, you're black and you ride horses? I'm like, yeah, I do. Do you know that the first jockey that won the Kentucky Derby was black?
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah, it's us. And you got to come on.
You're not doing it for the trend. You're doing it because it's you.
I'm just doing it because I love horses. And I from the time I was a little kid and I saw the black stallion, I fell in love.
Wow.
Just have never stopped. And then I was looking at this meme the other day, and it said, do you ever go out to get your horse and think, oh my God, if the little version of me could see that the big version has a horse of her own. Yeah. And I think that if little Christal knew that she was going to have her own horse and she could just go out to her, I call her name, and she would have been so proud and so excited, because
meet Zuri.
Yeah, you got to come meet Zuri, Ryan.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah, Prince wants to come as well. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna reach out so we can maybe connect this weekend and do some catching up.
All right,
And you
love.
take care, Prince. Love. Thank you so much. Much love to you, and I will see you next time.
All right, bro.
All right, you guys. All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out with Ryan and I tonight. It was fun. I hope you got some information and then a little bit of perspective about this Diddy case. We will definitely keep you all updated. You guys know every week we'll probably be talking about this for quite a while. So you guys, Prince does not want that Haitian Empress. He does not want it. But make sure that you tune in on Wednesday. Scorpio Mo and I have a great show for Dating Diaries, and I will be doing the first segment of For the Love of Mo. So make sure that you tune in. We have so much coming for that. Haitian Empress, all of you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys Wednesday at 8. All right, be good, love on yourself, love on each other, and I will see you midweek. All right.